When Jesus is coming to the disciples, he's walking on the water, and there's a storm, right? And Jesus first speaks, I am, and then he says, which we're going to come back to, and then he's asking, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid? Because you guys should know Scripture. You guys understand, you've been studying under a rabbi, you know these Scriptures. Rain is either a good thing or a bad thing, but either way, it's a good or a bad thing that God causes, period. So you should trust God. You should believe that the Scriptures point to me, that I am God, and that these all apply to me, whether good or bad. The rain is controlled by me. Leviticus says, I shall give you rains. Jeremiah, he causes the clouds to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightning for the rain and brings out wind from his storehouses. Proverbs, so the waters would not overstep his command. Basically, the waters are standing to attention for Jesus. In Job 28, when he imparted the weight to the wind and meted out the waters by measure, then he set a limit for the rain and course for the thunderbolt. He saw it and declared it. He established it and also searched it out. And if that wasn't enough, these guys also had a story that happened just before them of Jesus calming the storm already. When Jesus calms the storm the first time, before this time, he says, be still. He says, be still to the storm. So they've not only had the law, the writings, and the prophets confirming that Jesus is who he is, but he also has a previous experience of Jesus being able to calm the storm. The story of feeding the 5,000, or so, however many it actually was, this is in there twice. You see there's a couple of these stories that are given twice because they happened twice, or in some way was repeated a little bit. Like within Scripture, it's repeated a little bit. There's a lot of repetition within Scripture. So when he says this, he says something interesting to the rain and the water the first time. He says, be still. And that's a military perspective of falling in line. He says, you fall in line. Fall in line with who I am, with what the Word says I am, and where you should be. You are under my authority. He says, fall in line when he speaks to the wind. This is within Matthew 8, Mark 4, and Luke 8. That was the first time he says, fall in line. Learn your rank. Realize your rank, wind. You are under me. You cannot overstep my boundary. You cannot overstep my command. You are attentive to me. So he's basically just ordering them to obey what's within Scripture, the law, writings, and the prophets. And then it comes, there's a really important, Jesus does what he does, and it's supposed to ripple all throughout Scripture in all these different ways. The next one is one of, I think, the most touching ones, if you want to go to the next slide. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys, because this is what they saw, right? The storm was one part, and then there's a second part of it. This is what they thought would happen, right? Drowning. That's what ends up happening. Or that's what ends up really getting them scared, because the storm itself isn't fearful. So God is now not just addressing the initial concern of the storm, but now God, of course, answers our heart's concern, which is what he loves to do. You ask a question, and he answers a different question with the next one, if you want to hit it. Right. So now he's going to address what really is going on a little deeper. God will save from the waters. This is a powerful, powerful image, and these are just some of the Scriptures. So within all these, with all these different references are probably more references. You may even be thinking of some now. So within this story, it starts from the very beginning of Exodus, and there's different ones. You can go to different places. But the most simple one is when Moses was put on the water. God allowed for someone to reach down and save him, draw him out of the water. It actually became his name. When we see that in 2 Samuel 22, he reached down from high and took a hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. Now we're getting to his heart. He stretched forth your hand from on high and rescued me and delivered me out of great waters. Jonah, the engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. But the Lord my God has lifted up my life. So Jesus is simply fulfilling and doing what he said he would be doing since the law. And not just once since the law, multiple times since then, over a period of time. He continues to say, hey, I'm this, hey, I'm this, hey, I'm this. And then if you want to go even further, so to doubt this is why you're falling. You're doubting this, which is why you're going down. And if you go later in Scripture, James says, a man who doubts is like one, what, tossed by what? By water, by the waves. It keeps going. It's here and then it keeps going. And you'll find that all throughout Scripture. It's here and then it goes with Jesus and it'll keep going, because Jesus is everything. He's the beginning and He's the end. He's all of it. He continues to speak and speak and speak and speak. And so with this doubt, so there's a couple different doubts that He's dealing with here. Doubting of, okay, this whole storm that I don't know, the situation that I'm in, and then doubting the specifics of what's going to happen. So this is the big situation. I'm doubting that God is who He is within this. And then the small situation, I'm doubting that God is who He is throughout the specifics of my situation. And then God gets a little more specific. You can actually go to the next slide. That's a beautiful picture I think I put up there. Yes, I love this. And it's all throughout. This is what they really should have seen. And this is what Peter got to see. He got to see this.